In the previous video, we have seen what's a merge sort, which works in order n log n to sort n sequence of numbers. But the one main drawback of the algorithm is that it requires an additional array of size n. So in this video, we're going to see a randomized quicksort algorithm, which you will not use any additional memory. So in the randomized quicksort, what we're going to do is that we're going to pick given a sequence of numbers, we're going to pick one of these numbers uniformly at random and call that as a pivot. So once we're given a pivot, then we have what is called as a partition function, which will partition the given sequence of numbers into two parts with respect to this pivot, so that all the numbers to the left of pivot will be smaller than or equal to the pivot, and all the numbers on the right hand side will be greater than the pivot. So once you partition which satisfies this condition, then we'll show that then if you recursively solve the elements on the left hand side and recursively solve the elements on the right hand side, that will sort the entire sequence. As compared to in the merge sort algorithm, first we divided into two parts and then you sorted the two sequences and then worried about merging these sequences. But what you do is that first you do the partition. So partition is done in such a way that if you do the individual subsequences, if you sort, that would be enough, right? So the partition is done in such a way that after the partition, if you sort the two sequences, that will ensure that the entire sequence is sorted. So since we are picking a random pivot here, I call this function as randomized pivot. So in particular, you can pick any pivot. So that's what most of the quicksort algorithms do. So we will see that if you don't pick the pivot carefully, this algorithm will turn out to be odd n square, right? So in order to avoid that, we don't pick any pivot. So we will pick a random pivot and do the partition, and we will first see the algorithm. So in the quicksort algorithm, first we partition the array into two parts around the pivot and sort recursively these two parts and concatenate the two arrays, for which we almost have to do nothing in order to concatenate. So what the pivot is x here. So what is the given pivot, what we need to do is to write a partition function so that so the partition function will return as a k such that anything on the left hand side of k, all the numbers that you are going to see will be smaller than or equal to the pivot, and anything on the right hand side of k will be greater than the pivot. So I repeat, given a x which is called as a pivot, so the partition function does the following: it rearranges the numbers and returns a location k such that, and at the location of k the pivot element is there, and all the numbers on the left hand side of k will be smaller than or equal to the pivot, and all the numbers on the right hand side will be greater than the pivot. So once I have written such a partition function which partitions the array into two parts, now it's easy to see that if it's enough to sort the left hand side subarray recursively and the right hand side subarray recursively, because if you take any element here, so this will be smaller than the pivot, and if you take any element here, that will be greater than the pivot. So then any number here will be smaller than the pivot, and this pivot will be strictly smaller than any other element on the right hand side. So if I had to write it, if you take L, which is a let's call it as an I, which is on the left hand side, so this will be smaller than or equal to x, right? So because this is an element from the left hand side. Now if you pick any number on the right hand side, that has to be greater than x, right, which is the pivot. So now if you read it together, so what this means is that any number on the left hand side will be smaller than every number on the right hand side. I repeat, once you do the partition such that the pivot element x, which is at the location k, and every element to the left of k will be smaller than or equal to the pivot, and every element to the right of the pivot will be strictly greater than the pivot. If we write a partition function which ensures this property, then it's enough to sort the left hand side recursively and right hand side recursively, because if you take any number, let's say I, which is on the left hand side, this has to be smaller than x, and any number on the right hand side will be greater than x. So which means that any number on the left hand side will be smaller than any number on the right hand side. So we have to worry about only the left hand side part and the right hand side part and recursively sort the sequence. So as compared to the merge function, so first we initially divide this into two equal halves, and then we sort it recursively and then try to do the conquer. Here we are partitioning in such a way that the partition actually happens before we call the, so we divide the sequence into two parts such that after we divide this, instead of calling it as divide, we will call it as a partition. We will partition in such a way that after we do the partition, it's enough to sort the two sequences recursively. Let's look at the code for this. This is called randomized quicksort because the pivot is picked randomly. So if there is only one number, then that number is already sorted. We don't have to do anything. If L is greater than R, there are no numbers in that case. We don't have to do anything. So the first thing that we do is that we pick one of the. So we are given numbers from L to R which we need to sort. So in the randomized quicksort, what we actually do is that we first pick one of the elements from the given collection. So one of the elements in the given collection is basically picking one of the indices from L to R uniformly at random. So this rand function gives me a random number. When I take percentile R minus L plus 1, so R minus L plus 1 is the number of elements that I need to sort. So when I do rand percentile R minus L plus 1, what I get is a random number between 0 and R minus L. So what I really need is a random number between L and R. So I just add to L. This basically gives me a random number between L and R. So P is a random number between L and R. So now what I do is that A of P will be our pivot. So what I first do is that L is the first location. I swap, so P is some location which I randomly picked. This is the random pivot. I swap it with the first location, and because when I call the partition function, I know that the partition has to be done with respect to the first element. I pick a random pivot, swap it with the first element, and then call the partition function. The partition that we are supposed to do is with respect to the random pivot. This partition function returns me a k such that all the numbers, so it ensures that this A of P that I have picked, which is in A of L, will be exactly at the location k, and anything to the left of k will be smaller than or equal to A of P, and anything which is greater than k, all the numbers on the right hand side of k will be greater than the pivot. So after that I recursively solve the left hand side because A of k I don't have to worry. Everything on the left hand side, that's L2 k minus 1 will be smaller than what is that at A of k. So I recursively call this randomized quicksort to sort the sum from numbers on the left hand side, and similarly I call the right hand side part I will recursively sort. So now the only thing that we need to describe is how to write the partition function. Let's pay our attention to partition function. So I need to partition from L to R. A of L, that is the pivot number, right? So I have two pointers, which is one is going from left to right, which is the I pointer. J is the starting at R. So I pointer goes from left to right and the J pointer goes from right to left. While I is smaller than J, what I do is that if I is smaller than J and the number that I am seeing is smaller than the pivot, then they are all in the right place. So in that case I can just move my pointer to the right hand side. So once I will come out of this loop only when the number that I am seeing is greater than the pivot. That means that A of I is not in the right place. In that case I start with the right pointer and keep going to the left as long as I see a number which is greater than the pivot. All the numbers greater than the pivot should be on the right hand side. All the numbers which are on the left hand side should be smaller than or equal to the pivot. So I basically have two pointers. One is the I pointer which goes from left to right and the J pointer which goes from right to left. When I go from left to right, if I see a number which is smaller than the pivot, they are in the right place. I don't have to go. So I don't have to do anything. I keep going to the right. The moment I see a number which is greater than the pivot, I am in the that is not in the right place. So I start going from the right hand side to the left hand side. I stop first time when I have a number which is smaller than the pivot, smaller than or equal to the pivot. So I have a situation where the bigger number is on the left hand side and the smaller number on the right hand side. So if they both, since both of them are not in the right place, what I just do is that I swap. I need to do this only if I is smaller than j. If I is equal to j, then this swap will have no impact. So these two, a of I and a of j, a of I is on the left hand side but the number is bigger than the pivot. A of j is on the right hand side but this number is smaller than or equal to the pivot. So if I just swap these two things, then these two things will come into the order. After that, a of I will be smaller than or equal to the pivot and a of j will be greater than the pivot. So I increment my ing and then continue this loop as long as the left hand point, these two pointers don't overlap. These two pointers don't cross over. So the algorithm is simple. I go from left to right, right to left. So as long as these two pointers that I have don't overlap, and so as long as I see a number which is smaller than the pivot, I go to the right. As long as I see a number which is greater than the pivot, I go to the left. When I see a number on the left hand side which is greater than the pivot and a number on the right hand side which is smaller than the pivot, I exchange these two and continue this algorithm. When I come out of this loop, what is there at I minus 1? Right, so when I come out of this loop, either I is equal to j or I is strictly smaller than. When I come out of this while loop, I will be strictly smaller than j. I will be strictly greater than j. So I just take I minus 1. So the previous number will be smaller than or equal to k. So if I just look at a of I minus 1, I just do a I minus minus. Since I will go to the right hand side only if the number is smaller than or equal to the pivot. So when I come to the location a I minus 1, so I first do I minus 1 and then talk about a of I. So the number at a of I is strictly smaller than the pivot now, smaller than or equal to the pivot. So after this partition, what I want to do is that at this location I want the pivot to be there. So what I do is that I just swap. So swapping is essentially same as at writing a of L, at a of L I write a of I. So a of L is the pivot. So and the location a of I write the pivot, right, and then return I. So what I have done after this, after I came out of the loop is the pivot is written at a of I. So before I overwrite a of I just store it in the a of L. So now this is the k that I am returning. The property of k here is that the pivot is at a of k and all the numbers on the left hand side is guaranteed to be smaller than the pivot and all the numbers on the right hand side is guaranteed to be the greater than the pivot element. So now let's quickly pay our attention to the analysis of the quicksort. In worst case, what may happen is that the partition may be very bad. So if the partition is very bad, then so very bad in the sense that after I do the partition, there is only one number on the left hand side. Or there may not be any number on the left hand side, because if I pick the maximum element as a pivot, then everything will be on the left hand side. So I have to recursively go and sort a sequence of n minus 1. Similarly, if I pick a minimum element as a pivot, then the left hand side subsequence subarray will be empty and all the n minus 1 numbers will be on the right hand side. In that case, I have to go and recursively sort the sequence on the right hand side, which will have n minus 1 number of elements. This n is the complexity of the partition. So why do we do linear number of comparisons in the partition function? Just remember that at any point of time, I have two pointers. One is the left, one is going from left to right, and the other one is going from right to left. Every time when I do a comparison, one of the pointers will either the left pointer goes to the right or the right pointer goes to the left, and when these two pointers cross over, the algorithm stops. So the complexity of the partition function is order n. So in worst case, we get the equation T of n is equal to T of n minus 1 plus n, which is very similar to the recursive relation that we have seen in the case of bubble sort. So this happens to be in theta of n square. So in worst case, the randomized quicksort, the complexity of the algorithm is order n square. But what if we can pick a pivot which is in some sense good, which divides the array. When you do the partition, it divides exactly into two halves. Okay, so if there is a way to pick a pivot such that the pivot partitions array into two exactly to equal halves, then the equation that we get will be T of n is equal to 2 into T of n by 2 plus this is the time for partition, so this turns out to be n log n. If there is a way to partition such that we divide this into exactly 2 parts, then the quicksort actually runs in n log n. But how do we find such a partition pivot which divides exactly into 2 parts? We are going to see that in the next couple of videos. It is possible to find pivot in deterministic time in linear time, deterministic linear time such that it divides exactly into 2 halves. So we can use that algorithm to find the pivot and then partition. Since finding such a pivot is going to take order n, and partition function also takes order n, so we are going to get the equation as T of n is equal to 2 into T of n by 2 plus theta of n, which is the solution to this recursion will be theta of n log n. So we are going to see that in the next few videos. So what we have seen in this video is the randomized quicksort, where this is randomized. I call this as randomized quicksort because the pivot is picked uniformly at random. In worst case, this algorithm is order n square, but we also ask the question whether is there a way to pick the pivot very carefully so that the partition function will exactly divide this into 2 parts. In that case, we can use such a pivot and then partition it, and that will ensure that the quicksort actually runs in n log n. What we are going to show in the next couple of videos is that it is indeed possible to pick a pivot very carefully in linear time, so that when you partition it actually divides into 2 parts, 2 equal parts. Okay, but what happens is the constant involved, so it's possible for us to implement deterministic quicksort which works in theta of n log n. But what really happens is that picking this pivot is going to be costly deterministically, which divides into exactly 2 halves. So the constants involved will be higher. So we may not, even though it's possible to implement a deterministic quicksort algorithm which works in theta of n log n, we still work with randomized quicksort because the randomized quicksort on average is n log n. So in the next video we are going to show that on average if you pick a pivot which is uniformly at random, then the average complexity of the quicksort algorithm is n log n.